I'm going to share my screen and we're going to do part 2 today. And this is going to be a good one. This is where all the, it's like the buffet. We leave all the good stuff till the very end. So this is where all the good stuff's going to be. All right. Did I share the right? Yep, I think so. Great. Okay, so you should be able to see my screen. This is where we left off last session, and we were just talking about telephone prospecting as one of the many forms of prospecting. My goal through all of this is to expose you to a multitude of different ways to generate leads in real estate. Of course, there's some that are maybe more effective than others. There's some that I know a little bit more because I've done them personally. And the whole goal with Agent Upgrade was to really share the activities that Simone and I did in order to generate the success that we did and everything that we learned. So if we can kind of share that knowledge, of course, there's other ways to do things. There's other coaches and trainers out there, but we're going to try and give you what we did. So when we were talking about telephone prospecting, we were really talking about setting up this environment, this prospecting station. I have a photo somewhere in my photo stream of Simone at her prospecting station, and it's a stand-up desk. And she's got the entire environment created for prospecting. And whatever your prospecting activity looks like, it's important to just have that environment, to create that setting that it gets you excited and ready to go, right? We talked a little bit about a warm-up routine, just like Tony Robbins, when he gets on stage beforehand, he has a little rebound or trampoline that he likes to use, and he just gets excited, and he gets alive and energetic, and you get the blood pumping. And I remember one of the things my coach said is, when you're talking to people on the phone, you should have a mirror in front of you because you need to see your face. You need to see that smiling face because people can see on the other end what you look like by the tone of your voice. So if you're down like this, if your mouth is down like this when you're talking to people, people will sense that on the other end of the phone. So you want to get that alive, excited, and full of energy. We used to have this, like literally just a little makeup vanity mirror that would sit in front of our telephone. So when we were sitting at our desk making calls, we'd look at ourselves and make sure that we're smiling. And we'd write a little, like a sticky note on top that said smile and a little smiley face, right? And then we talk about tracking. It's all about this numbers game. So I created a tracking form, and whatever form of prospecting you do, it all has to involve talking to people about real estate every day. And the more people that you're talking to about real estate every day, the more business you're going to be doing. So whatever form you want to do telephone prospecting, you want to do online leads, you want to do networking, you want to do door knocking, you want to do whatever it is. Okay. You're going to be talking to people eventually about buying or selling a home. This is where you track it. And in the Agent Upgrade Plus resources and recordings section, where you'll see this recording for today, underneath it, you'll see some downloads. And one of them is the daily tracking form. You can download these, you can print them, however you want to track your contacts and your activities for the day. Accountability, though, is going to be key. So having this in front of you, and we talked last week about kind of treating yourself as the boss of your company, right? All right, let's move on to the next. This is everybody's favorite subject in school, I'm sure, mathematics. I'm pretty sure Byron is good with math because he used to be an engineer, didn't you? So, so let's do some math because I kind of liked math. All right, so let's talk about how to make $16 every single time you speak to somebody about real estate, even if they never ever do business with you. Even if you knock on somebody's door and they open the door and you say, "Hi, I'm a real estate agent," and they close the door, how can you make $16 every single time somebody does that? And $16, that's 3 lattes at Starbucks. So this is no chump change, right? It's a numbers game. So let's break it down, okay? Let's just say that it takes you 100 contacts with human beings in order to generate an appointment to go and sit down with them to either list or sell, list and sell, or to help them as a buyer. Okay, let's just say it takes 100 people that you talk to and you only get one appointment. And that sounds like dejection, rejection. I mean, you remember probably hearing the stories of Michael Jordan about how many shots he missed in order to be the best. So he was one of the best in basketball, but he missed hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands and thousands of shots in order to be there. Well, let's say that you talk to 99 people and they slam the door in your face, or they, hang up the phone in your face, or they unfriend you on Facebook, or whatever. You do 99 of those, but one of them, the 100th, you get an appointment. Okay. So let's just say that for every 3 appointments, you take a listing. So even 2 out of those 3, you don't even get the listing, because that hurts, right? We know how that is. You go there and you present, and they say, well, thanks, we appreciate your time. However, we've decided to go with Pablo because he just came with so much more energy and enthusiasm. And so we'd like to go with Pablo instead. But so you take only 1 out of every 3 appointments. And we're really going to focus on the listings here, but let's talk about that. You take all these listings, and out of all the listings that you take, 4 of those 5 listings are going to sell. So that means even like you talk to 100 people, you only get 1 appointment. So now you talk to 300 people and you got 3 appointments. And out of those 3 appointments, you're only going to take 1 listing. And out of 5 listings that you take, I mean, this is like getting mind blowing, right? 4 out of those 5 listings are going to sell. So that means you need to talk to 375 contacts in order to get a paycheck. Okay, so you need to talk to 375 contacts in order to get a paycheck. And I did some funky math in the background there to make that all work. So if you want to sell 30 listings this year or next year, that means you're going to have to talk to 11,250 people. And that seems like a lot. But when we broke down earlier, when we talked about how many days we're going to work in the year, and we said we're going to take some time off, and we're going to have this many hours a day, et cetera, it really breaks down to about 47 contacts per day. It means you want to do 30 sold listings. You got to talk to 47 people a day. And this is only 5 days a week. And you got to talk to 47 people. I mean, 47 people that could say no. Remember, you could go 100 contacts for only 1 appointment on average. So that means you could be like 2 days of contacting people, 47 contacts a day. And you only get 1 appointment in 2 days. And that's 1 person that agreed to meet with you. And out of 1, you only get, out of 3 appointments, you only get 1 listing taken. I mean, this is like a numbers game, right? But look at the daily rate here. That means if you sell 30 listings, you're going to earn about $180,000 of income, depending on your average. If your average is $6,000 per listing sold, that's $180,000 a year. So the question here becomes, would you do it? Would you contact 47 people a day if you're going to make $180,000? Remember, we talked about being an employee and being an employer. And if I were to contact you and say, hey, I'll guarantee you a salary of $180,000 a year. And what I need you to do is talk to 47 people a day about real estate. And would you do it? So that breaks down to $16 per contact. That means that every single person, so if you divide the 180,000 divided by the 11,250 people, that's $16 per contact. That means every single person you talk to, whether they do a deal with you or not, if you make 47 contacts a day, you're going to earn $16 on average for every contact that you make. And what this does is this starts to change your mindset about contacts, because making contacts, whether it's phone or door knocking or anything else, is frustrating. And there's also, I mean, there's a lot of factors here, but one of the factors is the effectiveness of the type of people that you're contacting. So if you're contacting random people online, it may be less effective, so you may need to talk to more people. If you're doing cold telephone prospecting, you may need to talk to more people. If you're talking to past clients, sphere of influence, and family, you're going to talk to less people. Okay. Simone talked to, I mean, she only made about 10 contacts a day and sold 100 listings a year. So it can be, it depends on the effectiveness, right, of the type of people that you're talking to. But this is one way of making $16 for every single person you have, right? This really helps you handle, manage, and overcome the failure and rejection. And what we used to do is we broke it down at one point. We said, okay, it's $20 per contact on average, because our numbers were a little bit better. So I put a $20 bill up on the wall. And when I was calling people and calling builders and saying, hey, would you like to work with us? Would you like to work with us? And they said, no, and quit calling me. And I hate realtors and you're the worst. And I've heard that you're a bad realtor and no, and they yell at you and they hang up the phone. And then I just look up at that $20 bill and I go, thanks for the 20 bucks. And I move on to the next call. See how you can change your mindset. If you want to learn a little bit about telephone prospecting, I did a great video and I've linked it into our the resources and recordings section there. Okay. And I've linked it to YouTube, or you can look it up, Cold Calling with Fernando and Pablo, and it's on our Agent Upgrade YouTube channel. And we did a video there where I interviewed Fernando Ferrari out of Hamilton, Ontario. He's a kind of a really, really good at cold calling and warm calling. He does a lot of telephone prospecting and he uses a system that is free with EXP. It's called Telelisting. And Telelisting is a program that allows you to, not only if you're in Canada, it scrubs against the do not call list, which is really, really important if you're cold calling. And I'll say that twice here. If you're cold calling in Canada, scrub against the do not call list, because it is a massive, like $50,000 fine to the brokerage if you're caught cold calling someone who's on that do not call list. Okay. So if you're looking to get started with telephone prospecting, you don't even know where to start, this is a good place to get started. Okay. Now let's talk about long-term versus short-term leads. Long-term, I always called it like gardening, and short-term is like aces in the deck. Now, one of my mentors growing up is my uncle, John Hamilton. He's a sales guy from the early ages of probably 18, 19 years old. He started in sales and he ended up in radio sales and whatever. So he sold radio advertising to vendors and clients who wanted to advertise on the radio. And I talked to his boss one day who I met. His name is Gary Waldron. And Gary Waldron also did sales training for agents all over the place. And he said, you know, your Uncle John, he's a gardener. I said, what do you mean by that? He said, well, what he does is he plants seeds in the soils, right? So he goes around, he plants seeds, and then he walks around every single day and he waters those seeds. He checks on the seeds, he weeds around the seeds, and he waters them and he watches them grow and he helps them grow. And then only when they're fully ripened, he will harvest. And what he meant by that is his style of sales is long-term nurturing. Okay. And you'll see if you follow like Brian Buffini training, there's a lot of this long-term nurturing. Okay. And in real estate, you can absolutely do that because real estate is a long game. It really is. Okay. This is where you would feed information to clients. Maybe you put them on little email drip campaigns, you put them on market reports, you stop by every once in a while, just make sure that you stay in touch with them, keep top of mind, right? And you do this long-term, and only when that person is finally ready to buy or sell, hopefully they're either going to contact you or you've contacted them at just the right time that they go, actually, yeah, I'm kind of thinking of selling right now. And we do, Simone and I always did long-term with our past clients in our sphere. We wanted to maintain the garden long-term and make sure you can pick the fruit and then you have to still kind of trim the little leaves and everything, and it'll continue to generate fruit and vegetables for years and years and years to come if you manage to maintain that garden. Now, if you are like we were when we came into this industry, we had zero leads, we had zero money, and we had lots of time. And we didn't have lots of time because we needed to get money right away. And So we were focused on what we call the short-term leads. We needed to find short-term leads. So aces in the deck is like this. Now, short-term leads is about going through the deck and saying, I'm only looking for aces. Now, if you come across a 9, do you pull it out? No, because I'm looking for aces. So the 9 goes down, right? Now I'm looking for a queen. No, or sorry, I'm looking for an ace. I get a queen. No. I get a 2. No. I get a 5. No. Jack. No. King. Almost. But is it an ace? No. Down. Ace. I got an ace, right? So short-term lead generation and lead follow-up is where you are hyper-focused on looking for the aces, but a king, a queen, a 2, a 3 is not an ace, and you let it go. You're only looking for the aces. And I'm going to explain a little bit more about what I mean by this as we go through, okay? Math time again. I know everybody loves math time. All right. The question here, it really becomes how many leads do we really need? And here's what I've observed is that people generate these lead banks, these lead databases, these lists, these CRMs full of leads that they've generated online. These are people that gave them their name and phone number at some time. And they've got all these leads and they think to themselves, these leads one day will turn into something. And if you're the gardener, yes, probably you nurture and you manage that garden and maintain that garden. And eventually 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 of those leads are going to pop and they're going to, harvest and whatever, right? And it's fun. However, do you have years and years and years to patiently wait for those leads to pop, right? I didn't. And so I needed leads now. And that's what I was focused on, is leads now. And so I said, well, how many leads do I need? Do I need 300 leads, 500 leads, thousands of leads? Well, really, no, I definitely need a lead right now, a good lead. Like I need a good lead. In fact, I could use like 3 or 4 good leads at any given time in order to sell the 2 or 3 or 5 deals a month that I wanted to sell, right? So I need 2 or 3 or 5 buyers or sellers that are willing to buy or sell with me this month, okay? I don't need the other 300 or 400 or 500 people right now. So how many leads do we really need? Let's help you simplify the overwhelming task of lead generation, okay? So on the left side, I wrote down the following, and you can write this out on your little paper because this is actually going to probably help you do some of the mathing on your own, okay? So on the left side, I want you to write out total deals equal, and then I want you to write down how many deals you want to do for the year. So 2022, what is going to be your goal for the total number of deals? Is it 24? Is it 36? Is it, 20, 30, 50? What's your total number of deals? And then below that, I want you to write out referral and PC, okay? PC being your past clients. So how many, and I kind of call these the gimmies, okay? So how many of your past clients or how many of your family and friends are going to just call you up next year and say, I actually need to sell my house. I know you didn't contact me. These are not people that you went out and dug and found. These are just people that kind of came to you to come list me's. How many are going to be there? So write that out beside referral and PC. If you have any questions about all this, just put it in the chat and I'd be happy to stop and explain. Then I want you to write down at the bottom here, buy and sell. Okay, so you've got your total number of deals, however many you're going to do, say 24, whatever it is. Then you've got your referral and your past clients. These are people that you've done business with in the past or your friends and family, and they're going to contact you. Then you've got the buy and the sell. The buy and the sell means how many deals will you double end if you're allowed to in your market. So if you're going to do 24 deals next year, do you think that 5 of them will be a buy and a sell? Then put that 5 next to buy and sell. And then there's the gimmies. These are the ones that like you had a sign out on a lawn and somebody phoned you up and said, hey, I saw you sold my neighbor's house. I'd like you to sell mine. Woo, awesome, right? How many gimmies will you get? Maybe 2, maybe 3 for the year, maybe 5, who knows, right? How many gimmies will you get? So then I want you to take the top number, the total deals, and I want you to subtract your referral and PC. I want you to subtract the buy and sell. And I want you to subtract the gimme, and that's going to give you the number of deals remaining for the year. Okay. Once you have that number, I'd like you to just type that number into the chat so I can see approximately how many you've got. And while you're calculating that and you're putting it into the chat, I'm going to just do some simple math. Let's just say that you want to do 25 deals for the year. And 5 of those are going to come from your existing database, okay, from your past clients, your Sphere, your referrals. And another 5 are going to be a buy and a sell. So I've got 25 deals I need to do. I've got 5 that are going to come from my referral database, my past clients. I've got 5 deals that are going to be a double end. Okay, so that means that it's really kind of 10 transactions. And that means there's 5 leads I didn't need to get. Right? So I'm going to take off 5 there. And I've got 3 that are just going to be some kind of gimme, like a sign call, something like that. Okay, let's check out the chat here. Yeah, so 15, 18, good, 9, right? Yeah, so Helen, I'm going to explain the double end of the buy and sell. So if you have 5 listings that they also go and buy something, right? Then you have 5 double ends. And so you're only going to put 5 on there because you still had to find those 5 people. Okay. And what I'm saying is you kind of get a gimme, like a freebie on the sell or the buy. So if they buy something and sell something else, you get a freebie. Now there might be a triple end where they I don't know, sell something and then you double end the buy sell, or they buy your own listing, something like that, but we're not going to count that. So that's why you subtract 5 for the buy sell and the gimme. So what do you have left here? You have remaining 12 deals remaining. So what I look at is when you say 25 deals for the year, it can seem overwhelming for some people. That's 2 a month. Where am I going to find 25 deals this month? Well, here's where they're going to come from. 5 are going to come from your past client database or your referral source or whatever. 5 are going to come from the buy sell, because some of them you're not going to have to look for, not too hard. And 3 of them are going to come they're just going to magically fall into your lap. So all you have left is 12 deals that you've got to focus on. And really what that means is that you need to find 12 leads this year that convert into a deal. And when you break it down and simplify it like that, you think to yourself, man, that's 1 every month. So every month, I just have to have the mindset that I've got to go out there and I've got to find 1 person who's going to convert into a deal. 1 person. Now that is way less overwhelming, isn't it, than trying to figure out how you're going to do 25 deals next year. So if you break it down, you think about this one person, where can I, and if you're constantly thinking every morning when you're going through your affirmations and your gratitudes and you're looking at your goals and you say, where am I going to find the 1, right? Where am I going to find that 1? So let's talk about now leads. Okay. I've personally always focused my time on finding people who wanted to do business now. I'm looking for that 1 every single month that needs to do business now. But I'm going to nurture those long-term relationships with my past clients in my Sphere so I can get those 5 referral and PC. And eventually, if you look at an agent who's been doing this for 10, 15, 20 years, it's a lot higher than 5. So if they want to do 25 deals a year, 20 of them will come from their past client database, and they'll only need to find 5 new clients a year. Okay. So as you grow, you will increase that ratio. The flow for us was to make contacts every day. And if there's a possibility that that lead or that contact is going to move in the next few months, they became a prospect. And if they gave me their contact information and I engage in follow-up, then that's going to be a lead. Okay, so this is where you get this flow. Make contacts every day with however you're going to do your lead generation. If there's a possibility that they're going to move in the next few months, then that becomes a prospect. And if that prospect gives me their contact information and I can engage in a follow-up, that is now a lead. And if that lead is going to sign a contract with me, they become a client. So I thought about this sales funnel and I'm going, okay, I need to find people and put them through this little sales funnel. I make a contact, they slam the door. Is it a prospect? No. I find a contact. They say, well, I'm looking to, when are you looking to move? I'm looking to move in the next 2 months. Awesome. Bing, right? Would you give me your name and phone number? No, I wouldn't. I've already got my sister's a realtor. I'd never use anybody else. Thanks for coming. Goodbye. Okay, that's it. So they haven't given me their contact information, but they became a prospect, right? So contact, prospect, lead, client. So I just kept on pushing through people like this. And what ended up happening is I had to define a lead. So a lead for me is going to be different than necessarily a lead for you. For most real estate agents, a lead is anyone who just gives you like name and phone number, and you're a lead, right? Now, to me, I call that a contact or a prospect. And if they gave me, if they were a name and a phone number and they were going to move in the next couple of months, then they became a lead. And the real definition of a lead has to come from how soon is that lead going to turn into a client? So you see those last two stages there, lead and client. If I say, I'm going to give you a lead, but they're not ready to sell for 2 years and you've got to follow up with them for 2 years. I would say, thank you. I'm not interested. I need to find one lead this month. That's all I'm looking for. Remember, the ace is in the deck. Okay. So a king in a deck is very, very close to an ace, but it's not an ace. So I had to define a lead. Where was I going to cut off? I'm definitely looking for aces, and the aces, you need one a month, one ace a month, and you just got to tear through the deck and look for an ace. Now, what would constitute a king, a queen, a jack? I mean, we all know like the 7 or the 8, right in the middle. It's not a 2, it's not close to an ace, and it's not a king, it's not, that's the no, I'm never moving. I don't want to ever talk to you again. That's a 5, 6, 7. You know, it's easy to throw those away. They're not even close. But when you get a 2 or a king, it's so close to an ace. And you're like, maybe I'll just keep this. And maybe if I hold on to it long enough, it'll turn into an ace. It doesn't turn into an ace, right? An ace is an ace is an ace. So an ace, and you have to define what is an ace for you. So for me, my personal definition of an ace was a seller that was willing to sign a contract in the next 5 to 7 days. If I couldn't get a seller to sign a listing contract in 5 to 7 days, what am I doing? I got to find somebody else who's willing to sign a listing contract. And if it was a buyer, my definition of a buyer lead that I was working with was a buyer who's willing to write a contract right away if I can find them the right property. So I didn't put a timeline around it, but if I find them the right property, they are ready to write a contract. So now I defined it and I said, anybody who does not fall within that criteria is a king or a 2 or a queen or 3, etc. And I was only looking for people that were in that wheelhouse. And when you are laser focused and you know what you're looking for, that's what you're going to get. And again, you only need maybe one a month. So could you find one person who's willing to sign a contract with you in the next 5 to 7 days? Or maybe your definition is a seller who's going to sign a contract in the next month. If in the next month, if they're willing to sign a contract with me in the next month, okay, you got to have to define that lead. And the looser you define it, you say, as a lead for me is going to be a seller who's willing to sign a contract in the next year? Well, you're going to get a lot of leads, and then you're going to do a lot of follow-up and a lot of gardening and a lot of nurturing. Now, do you need a bunch of leads that may do something in the next 12 months, or do you prefer to have someone who is willing to do something in the next week or two with you? I was always looking for somebody who's willing to do something with me in the next week or two. Now, here's an exercise that may help you if you are one of the agents who has a large database of future clients. Let's call them future clients, but these are leads. This is your prospects, your client, your contacts, if you will. These are names and numbers of people who you have in a database that contacted you at one point about doing real estate at some point. The danger of having this massive database, and I talked to hundreds of agents who have had this problem, okay? I've got a database of 1,000 names and numbers, okay? And I send them out an email once a month. And I know that if I just keep loving on these people, eventually some of them will buy and sell a home. And I've got millions of dollars of income sitting there. I just need to somehow get those people to do something, right? Well, let's do an exercise here. It's called a lead cleanup exercise. So step number one, as it says on the screen there, you go through every single one of those leads. If you only have 10, go through 10. If you have 100 or 1,000, go through all 1,000. Call every single lead, and we follow a 3-3-3 rule. The 3-3-3 rule is you call each one of them up to 3 times. You let it ring 3 times each time. If you never leave a voicemail, okay, don't be tempted. Don't do it. Trust me, everybody does this. Everybody phones and they go, okay, I'm going to do the lead cleanup, and they phone, ring, 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 ring. Oh, hi, you've reached Tom and Susan, and we can't come to the phone right now. Leave us a message. We'll get right back. Oh, hi, it's Pablo Galvez here from Banana Realty, and I just wanted to follow up with you. It's been a while since, I got your number from somewhere. I don't even know where. And would you please give me a call when you get a minute? I'd love to chat with you about your real estate and maybe do something. No, stop. Don't do that. Call 3 times, okay? Let it ring 3 times. Do not leave a voicemail. Hang up before it gets to the voicemail. And the third 3 is if you speak to them, and you're going to ask the questions in number 3, but if you speak to them 3 times and you still can't convert them into a client, you got to get rid of it. Now, if you call 3 times and you let it ring 3 times each time and they don't pick up, here's what I want you to do. I want you to delete the lead. Get rid of it. Trash. If you have paper, throw it in the trash. If you have computer, hit the delete. Are you sure you want to delete this lead? Yes. This cannot be undone. Yes, delete. Okay. If you ask if you get someone on the line, I want you to ask them these simple 2 questions. Number 1, you can say, hi, it's Pablo calling from Banana Realty. We met at whatever point. If you have some notes, you say, we met at an open house last year, and it was, at this beautiful house in Hillhurst. And I have 2 questions for you. Oh, what are those questions? Number 1, are you still looking to buy or sell? If they say yes, move on to question number 2. Can we get the process started this week? And if they say yes, you now have a lead. Congratulations. Now you write down their name and their phone number and everything else, and you set an appointment from that call. Great. Let's set an appointment so we can get started. You don't have to get into any further, just set an appointment, okay? Now, let's backtrack. Are you still looking to buy or sell a home? No, we actually ended up buying something. Excellent. Congratulations. You've got my name and number. If anything else comes up, give me a call. Okay. Now you delete it. Delete it? What if they want to sell their house in 5 years? Well, you can go find them again in 5 years. Can we get the process started this week? No, we can't. Oh, tell me why that is. Well, because we've already engaged another realtor for our sale, or we've already engaged another realtor, or we've, I've got a cousin in the business now, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, great. Thank you very much for taking my call. I appreciate it. Have a great afternoon. Goodbye. And then delete that lead. Okay. Now this is called a lead cleanup. It's more like a lead purge, right? So you call all these leads. If you can't get them on the phone, you've got to delete them. If you get them on the phone and you ask these 2 questions and you say, can we get the process started this week? And they say, yes. You're like, great, let's set an appointment. And they go, well, can you call me back tomorrow? Because, I'm not 100% sure if I want to sell anymore, but I might, because I this and I that. And you're like, oh, okay, well, I'll call you tomorrow. Great. And you call them tomorrow and you get them on the phone and they say, well, yeah, we're still not sure. We're still not sure. We're thinking of this, but we're not 100%. And you say, well, let's set an appointment. Why don't we get together and chat about it? Yeah, we're not quite ready to do an appointment, but we might. And they're kind of all wishy-washy and flippy-floppy. And if you have 3 conversations and you cannot set an appointment from those 3 conversations, this is the third 3. If you cannot set an appointment after 3 phone calls, you need to delete that lead. And so what's your conversation with them like? You say, well, it sounds like you've got a lot of things to sort out. I appreciate that. You've got my contact information, right? It's right here. Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. I've got your number here. Great. Excellent. Give me a call whenever you're ready and I'll be here for you. Sound good? Great. Now, they'll never call you. I mean, there's like a chance, but they probably won't call you. So you delete that lead, get rid of it. Now, what do you think is going to happen if you call every lead and you follow this? How many leads do you think you'll have at the end of the day? I'll tell you, you'll probably have somewhere between 0 leads. You're going to have a blank database, 0 leads and a full trash can. You might have 1, 2, 5, or even 10 appointments. So my question for you is, would you rather have this big, hairy database of names and numbers and 0 real leads? Or would you rather have 1, 2, 5, or 10 bona fide appointments for this week? And if you'd rather have the appointments, these are the aces. Appointments are the aces. That's what you're looking for, you guys. So you clean up your entire database. Now, what happens if you have 0 leads at the end of this? Oh my gosh, Pablo, this is the scariest thing ever. If you do this to me, I'm going to end up with no people, no future, nothing. If you have nothing, from nothing, you can create everything. And now you have a blank deck of cards and you are now flipping through those cards. You are now generating aces. This is the most exciting thing because you have nothing to rest with. You have nothing to lean on. You have no crutch. That database of people that was holding you back from calling new people because you kept on thinking, I've just got to go after these old people. I got to get them to do something, right? That crutch, that mental crutch will be gone. And now you need to go and find new people. So where are you going to find new people? Well, we talked about that at the first half. You get online, you start talking to your past clients, your sphere of influence, you start to go and door knock, you start to telephone prospect, you start to open house, however you want to find your clients, you now need to go and find some aces. And you go to an open house and you're there all suited up and ready to go. And people walk in the door and you say, so, nice to meet you. My name is Pablo. And, when are you guys looking to make a move here? Oh, probably not for about like 6 or 7 months because we're still figuring out if our job situation is going to be solid or whatever. Great. Well, here's my card. They'll never call you, but here's my card. Let me know if you ever need help in real estate. I'd be happy to help you, and let them go. You don't want their name and number because it's not an ace. It's a king, a queen, a jack. You can't turn it into an ace. All I'm focused on while I'm prospecting now is looking for someone that I can set an appointment with right now because I only need 1 per month. So what efforts do I need to do for the whole month in order to find those aces? So moving on, the follow-up. I mean, we all know the money is lost in the follow-up. It's made or lost in the follow-up. So the goal of any form of lead generation is to set the appointment. And it's absolutely critical to have a high level of communication and a high level of response time. So if you're getting leads coming to you, you need to be able to respond to them quickly. One of my favorite realtors locally, when I was getting started in real estate, his assistant ended up working for us, and she told us that he would change his cell phone ringtone to a cash register, like that ka-ching. So every time his phone rang, he knew it's like a cash register, go after it, right? So how quickly are you able to respond? And when you're available and when you're not available, how quickly can you respond? Can you have somebody else responding? Is there like an autoresponder that you can use? Are you prepared if a sign calls you and wants to go and view it now, right? Be prepared and have some system in place. Maybe you need to get a VA who's answering your phone for you and filtering your calls. But lead follow-up is a activity that you should be doing at a scheduled time every day, just like you would schedule lead generation time. That's your one-way communication. You're only making outbound calls. You're not responding to people. Then you should follow up with a lead follow-up time directly after that, because there's going to be people who call you back from that you want to follow up with those leads at that time. Okay. So a little bit of our process. We had paper folders. We liked kind of the physical process. We had buyers were blue, let's say, and sellers were red, and we had a lead sheet for each one of those. I've linked to our lead sheets in the recording section, so you can download our lead sheets. We would be prospecting daily at a specific time, looking for appointments. And once we found somebody who would agree to set an appointment with us, we'd fill out one of the lead sheets and we'd get that whole process started. We had a CRM program. A CRM is your client relationship management program. It's going to organize your leads and your past clients. Now, if you only have a couple of leads, you can manage them in your mind or in a small database or on your phone with Outlook or something like that. If you've got more than a couple of leads, you really start to need to have some sort of CRM, especially for your past clients. One of the things that we did, very important decision we made at the beginning, was we put all of our past clients, anybody who was an active client or a past client that worked with us, that signed a contract, that we did a deal with, went into a separate database. And all those leads that come in, like internet leads and the sign calls and the leads that we generated that we were trying to convert to clients, they went into a separate database, okay? Because we did a separate process for those people than we did with the past clients. Remember, I was trying to convert those people to clients. And once I convert those people to a client, they go into the client database, and then we'd manage them long-term. That's the gardening on the past clients. The new clients, this is the looking for aces. Yeah, like there's all kinds of reminders and processes. And if you're looking for a CRM program to use, there's tons. For real estate agents, there's like Top Producer, Capterra, Prospects is a good one. Your own Matrix or MLS system may have a management in there. KV Core is a good one. And in most of those, they'll allow you to set up like drip campaigns and things like that. Again, when it came to short-term leads, I was just looking for appointments. And if you're looking for appointments, the next step is going to be signing a contract. You don't need to do any lead management with that. You could literally have them on a 3x5 card and keep them around with you until you get an appointment and get them to a contract. It all happens very quickly when you're looking for aces. If you've got anything but aces in your leads, then you may need drip campaigns and all that kind of stuff. I just didn't bother with that because I was just looking for aces all the time. Then you have to kind of say, well, what do I say to these people? Like, yay, you've got a lead, now what, right? Whether you do passive or active lead generation, you're going to need to talk to leads at some point. You're going to need to speak to people. For in-person, I would focus on scripts, okay? Scripts and dialogues, what to say. We have a whole kind of module, which we're going to teach here, and we're going to talk about on scripts and dialogues, what kind of things to say to people, but make sure you have some kind of format that you go off of, right? It's like when I got a buyer lead and I was so excited about it, I wouldn't just go, okay, so you want to just go see some houses? I'd be like, no, I got a process, right? So are you familiar with how I help people like you find a great home? No, I'm not. Oh, do you mind if I share that with you now? Sure. Well, first thing we're going to do is this, then we're going to do this, then we're going to do this, then I'm going to do that. Based on the 4 steps that I use in helping people find a home, would you like to work with me to find your home, or would you like to try and find another realtor? Oh my God, no, you sound like you really know what you're doing. We want to work with you. Great, let's get started. Let's set an appointment and bam, right? So using a script is going to tell you what to say and give you that confidence, right? It's all question-based. Avoid telling people things, right? Well, I'm one of the best realtors in the neighborhood and I know this area really well. And I've been working in this area for 5 years or 10 years and I know everything and I know, and I do this and I do that. And I really love working with clients all the time and I'm available and it's all question-based. That makes it about them instead of about you. It kind of makes more sense, right? Another key point of knowing what to say is never argue, always agree. When you argue a point, you make them wrong. And I'll tell you where the practical side of this is. Quite often I would be working with talking to a lead and they'll say something like, well, I know that I don't need to have a real estate agent to sell my house. Oh, it's like, oh, ouch, the dagger goes in. So what's your natural response? Oh, well, if you try and sell it yourself, it's like trying to represent yourself in court and, you're going to fail and, all this stuff. So you're trying to argue with them, right? Like you do need somebody. Or they'll say something like you're at an open house, the area like the back of your hand. You're like, oh, I know every house. I know every sale. I know the average prices. I know what the market is doing. I know it. And they say to you, well, I know that right now the market's going down. And so I know if I wait 6 months, the market's going to crash and the prices are going to come down. And you're like, oh my God, no. I know exactly what's happening right now. And the market, in fact, it's going to get worse for buyers. This is the best time to buy. So now you never, ever argue. You start everything with, I agree. And we're going to talk all about that in the scripts because it's really magical. Once you learn these little nuances of what to say and how to say it, never, ever argue with your clients, ever. If you ever catch yourself arguing with your client, stop it. Stop it right now and get back into a place where you are agreeing with them and working with them. So I do have some scripts that you can download and I'm going to put those in the list here. This is my past client script. Okay, so it's and again, you'll have a opportunity to download these. You don't need to, but this is just an example, right? So for past clients, I had this script. Hi, Bob, this is your realtor, Pablo. Do you have a minute? And they'd say, yeah, of course, great. And the reason for my call is just to let you know that I'm still in real estate, and I want to know, who do you know that may need to buy or sell a home in the next couple of months? And they say, well, I appreciate that, Pablo. I can't think of anybody right now. Excellent, Bob. Well, appreciate you taking the time to consider that. How about you? When do you plan on moving? Well, Pablo, we just bought our house last year. Oh, I know that. I've got to ask, right? And then that will engage them in any kind of little conversation. And it was always quick conversations. Hey, I don't want to take a ton of your time. Thanks for taking the time to hear me out today. I appreciate it. And we'll keep you posted. Talk to you soon. Okay, bye. Right. So I've got a few scripts, and during COVID-19, we would actually do this, right? So I'm reaching out to all my past clients right now to check in on them. How are you and your family doing? And then you stop and listen, right? Wow, that's great to hear. I've been following the market closely. Do you have any friends or family members who've been thinking of making a move now or when this is all over, right? How about you? Are you considering any changes? I mean, people really want to know what's going on in the real estate market, especially right now with COVID. There are so many people changing situations. I mean, look at myself. sold my house, moved to unaddressed unaddressed ad mail. I'm like a gypsy traveling the world now, right? So there's a lot of changes that are happening during COVID. So yeah, you can kind of look at the scripts that I've got for download. You can practice those scripts, and we've got a whole scripts and dialogues thing that we're going to go through eventually. But I'll leave you with a couple of tips. So without a doubt, our exceptional service philosophy has been the driver to our business. Okay, and I'll talk about that one last, but let's talk about the first one, simplify. If you can go through those leads and simplify your leads, that'll help you a lot. If you can simplify the form of prospecting that you do, you want to have 3 to 5 different sources when you prospect, when you lead generate. If you're only doing online leads, you need to have 2 or 3 other forms of lead generation. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, as they say, right? If you're only cold calling, don't do that. Do 2 or 3 other forms of prospecting. Make it consistent. Your consistency should be in the amount of action that you do, the time that you take action. So we talked about scheduling and time management. We talked about adding in a prospecting time. This is the time that I'm 100% focused only on lead generation. And again, whether it's boosting Facebook ads and everything else, this is the time that I spend only on lead generation. Eliminating the ego is huge, because our ego sometimes tells us, I don't do door knocking. I'm not one of those realtors. I'm an online realtor. I'm in the future. No, eliminate your ego and do what works best. You may find that you're an absolutely amazing door knocker. If you're good with people, if you can talk to people, you get your energy up and you knock on doors, and people still love talking to agents at the door. Believe me, it actually still works. So eliminate your ego and follow the methods that work for you. Okay. Always talk to more people. If you want to increase your business, this is why we talk about tracking your numbers. Remember, we said, if you want to sell 30 deals next year, you may need to talk to, depending on the level of efficiency that you're in and the type of prospecting you do, you may need to talk to 11,250 people. Well, if you want to do 60 deals and earn $360,000, you just double the number of people that you're going to talk to. It's that simple. Or you increase the number of people you're talking to and increase the efficiency of how you're doing things, your skills. What are you saying? So if I talk to 100 people versus a brand new agent who talks to 100 people, who do you think is going to get more appointments? I mean, if I'm really skilled at getting appointments, I bet I could talk to 15, 20 people for every appointment that I get. And if you do that, it's like 5xing the number of appointments that you're going to get. So this exceptional experience, this is something that we created for our business. And it was kind of like the driver for our business. And we said that we believe, this became our mantra, our motto, we believe that people deserve an exceptional experience. And so what we did is we spent our time figuring out how can we make people's entire experience in real estate, dealing with the realtor, exceptional. And that word exceptional came up in everything that we did. And so we said, you know, could you imagine that this is what always this like fantasy that I had, is that the sellers at the lawyer's office a few days before the closing, and they're getting their statement of adjustments, and they say, well, congratulations on the sale of your home. We've got, you know, this issue we're dealing with and that, and we're finishing this up. And here's the total closing costs. Here's the lawyer's fee. Here's your real estate fee, and it's $28,000 for the realtors. And could you imagine if they actually turned to the lawyer and just went, what? $28,000? That's all? I feel like what we got from the realtor was worth $50,000, right? Instead of them looking at that $28,000 and going, ugh, man, next time we're going to try and sell it ourselves because that was a waste of money. So that drove everything that we did in our business, is how can we get people to think at the closing table that, right? Emmanuel, you had asked about a door knocking script, and yes, we'll have that when we do the rest of our scripts and dialogues. We'll add the door knocking script, but we're not going to do it today, but we will have that when we talk about scripts and dialogues. Question is, how effective is the ads on lead generation like Bus Bench? Now, Emmanuel, if you weren't on last week's session, we talked about passive versus active lead generation. Passive lead generation being where you put bus benches, you put billboards, you put ads, you put things online, and you wait for people to respond and come to you. Then we talked about active lead generation, which is where you actively contact people, whether it's door knocking, cold calling, warm calling, talking to your past clients, networking events, all kinds of things like that, where you are in control of the number of people that you contact. Okay. So I've always believed in active lead generation versus passive lead generation, because I felt like I had more control over it. And in general, it's free. And I'm a kind of a sucker for free things. So for me, it was all about active lead generation. So how effective are bus benches? My belief now on advertising, I'm not going to sit here and say you shouldn't advertise and advertising is stupid and realtors who are advertising are just wasting their money, because they're not. My belief is that if an agent can generate the skills and capabilities of doing active lead generation until they get their business up to a point where it's running effectively and they've got the systems and the people and the delegation around them that they can focus on their lead generation, okay, and helping people, then I believe that they should advertise to augment and increase. So then I think is when you do the bus benches. If you're a brand new agent and you're just getting started in real estate, don't bother. People don't know you. If you're doing active lead generation and you want to supplement it with some, so let me give you an example. I remember doing an ad campaign with our previous company. It was a huge ad campaign. We had billboards everywhere. And we sat with the marketing company, Simone and I'm a little bit more marketing inclined and she's more literal. We sat with the marketing company and they presented the billboard spreads, and we were going to spend $30,000 a month on billboards. And Simone says, these are horrible. And they said, why are these horrible? Well, our phone number is not on any of them. Our email is not on any of them. How are people going to contact us from the billboards? And they said, you're missing the point. Billboards are not for people to look up and call from the billboard. Billboards are there to augment the other work that you do. So just like real estate, if you are door knocking an area and you're going to run a bus bench in that area, that's good, because the people are going to drive home. They're going to see the bus bench with your name and your picture, whatever on there. And then you're going to knock on the door and say, hi, my name's Bob. And they're going to go, oh yeah, I saw you on the way home. See, that's when you can use a bus bench. It's more effective there. Okay. Now, next session, I'm thinking we've talked a lot over the last few sessions about delegating, about maybe if you had an assistant or a virtual assistant, you'd be able to do more of the income producing activities, right? I'm thinking that next session we'll do hiring and training an assistant.